Thank you, Whitaker Locke, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus, Georgia. I'm Bill Harlan. I'm your volunteer service leader. And today our speaker will be Adela Duncan, who is president of the Paz Amigos organization. She's going to talk about how this local group helps immigrants released from an immigration detention center south of Columbus. And there's kind of a tie-in or a continuity between Adela's talk this morning and Connie's wonderful Memorial Day service last week. If you'll remember, Connie talked to, this is Connie Ussery's singing group, and they sang at a couple more Memorial Day ceremonies, and the handsome fellow in the middle, Danny Ginter, is a Paz Amigos volunteer. And this guy, I don't know how many organizations he volunteers for. I lost count. But he never does nothing. He's like a shark. He's constantly volunteering. And Adela might talk a little bit about him. You can see that service, by the way, on our YouTube channel. And I want to just give you a little brief refresher on how to find it. If you go to YouTube, and you'll notice up at the top, there's a search button, and you go to Unitarian Universalist Columbus, Georgia. You will find we've got 61 videos up there now. So we like to direct people to that. It's a good way to introduce people to our UU fellowship. Do we have any visitors this morning? First time? Welcome, and welcome. Well, that's great. Well, these videos, you can look at services and watch services and see what the heck kind of trouble you've gotten yourself into. Guests are always welcome, visitors especially. And if you need more information, will our board members raise their hands? So let's see, where are we? I wanted to talk about Whitaker's hymn. Number 148, and someday we'll get back to singing hymns, maybe not too far away, but the opening words of hymn 148 in our book are, "Let freedom span both east and west, and love both north and south." And that dovetails, Whitaker, so wonderfully with our theme, which is about treating people as human beings. And that east and west, north and south thing really fits into the work that Paz Amigos is doing. So we'll have some more music by Whitaker and a nice talk by Adela. Next week, we have a really interesting talk by, I think, a friend of ours who is going to join the fellowship then. Ray Rankin is a longtime teacher in Columbus, but he's also a poet. And he's going to talk about the architecture of language and its relationship to our 7 principles. Rick Spradlin will speak on Father's Day, which I think is June 20th. Is that correct? Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. And then the following Sunday after that, we're going to meet here, and we'll have some kind of fellowship and getting together and meeting together. And then we're going to watch a service, the Lord willing, on this screen that comes directly from the UUA General Assembly. And they're doing that all online. We start our services by lighting the chalice, which symbolizes for us reason, tolerance, and freedom, and also justice, compassion, and love. So let's review the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, which really is what brings us here. Number 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Number 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And do you notice that these are fitting perfectly with Adela's talk? Acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Number 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And this is an important one for our visitors. Our informal motto for this fellowship is deeds, not creeds. In other words, we think how we treat each other and how we treat the planet is more important than the details of our theology. Doesn't mean we don't have theology. Some of us have pretty complex theology. But the important thing for our fellowship is how we treat each other. 5, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. What could be more closely aligned than the mission of Pasamigos? And 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. One of the ways we proclaim the vitality of this fellowship is by sharing brief and personal joys and concerns. This is not a time really for politics. It's not a time for commercials or announcements. Rather, it's a time to talk about what's important in our lives. One of our greatest joys is when we can welcome a new member into our fellowship. And we're going to do that this morning. And this is a member who joined on the internet on Zoom, and we have not received word from UUA International Headquarters whether the Zoom membership ceremonies are actually official. So he didn't get his handsome certificate. So Hal, if you will introduce.
Okay. I'll probably get all this wrong, but when you joined on Zoom, you're the first one to join on Zoom, and I think the only one, and this is your first time here in the facility, I think. This is amazing. And I was amazed to your biography. It was just fantastic. Okay, Eric Maddox is over here, and I'm going to bring this to you because I think it's harder for you to come over here and go up the steps unless you want to. Just to let everybody see you. You're really relaxed about everything, I've noticed. Eric, I just give a brief history, which is very probably going to be wrong in many ways, but that's me. Okay. Eric taught music up in Atlanta area. He became director of music for the county, and then he retired. His desire was to get a boat and sail the world, I guess, and he did. He got a boat, and then he went down in the Caribbean, and there met his wife. Is that correct? Okay, he's not as his, so that's good. I'm good right so far. And then he gradually worked his way around the world, and that itself, for both of them to do that, be on a boat together for all this time, wow. And so, but they did it, and they worked their way around the world, and he painted where he went. And if you see his paintings, they're amazing. It's just a piece of the world translated to art. And you can do that. And you have this, and just discussions with him on Zoom, and mainly not to me, it was to others. He blends music and art together in just a magical way. Thank you for choosing us. So I'll bring this to you if that's better for you. We always say handsome certificate. I don't know why they always say that, but thank you and welcome to the community.
Thank you. I should have done this 15 years ago.
It's a good time to start.
All right, now it's time for our Celebration of Life toast. This is something that's unique. You won't find this in any other UU fellowship or anywhere else in the world. Written by our very own Ed Wilson. Our Celebration of Life toast is not a sacrament. There is no theological significance to it. It's just a warm tradition that we share each Sunday. I am going to read the toast, and if I can juggle here, I'll show the words on the screen, and we're going to all join together at the end. Now, normally we would pass out plastic cups with some fine grape juice or the world's finest wine. Thankfully, we're not doing that during the pandemic. Sometime we'll return to that, so we'll do a toast this way. So I'll do a toast this way. I'll read the toast, you read the last line. We celebrate life with its beauty and its pain. We lift these cups in tribute to the achievements of human minds and hands, and in sensitivity to the frustrations of misfortune and heartache, not fixing blame or credit for the outcome of chance, sensing the risk, savoring the joy, sharing it all. Knowing of the certainty of death and remembering the value of each moment, we drink our toast of celebration to this time, to the future, to each other, to the throbbing of the earth and sea and sky with life. Together, we drink this toast in celebration of life. Well done. This morning's offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. And there's a couple ways you can do this. This is for our Zoom. Actually, we have 3 ways now. You can put it in the basket this morning. I forgot about that. But you can also mail the checks to UUFC Bucks. Oh, that's wrong there. That's a typo. It's 698, not 689. Fortson, Georgia 31808. Or PayPal. And go to PayPal, sign in, and send it to our email address. It has a place where you can say send money, send it to uufcga@gmail.com. So while we're passing the baskets, and those of you on Zoom are looking for your checkbook or signing into PayPal, our Whitaker will play for us our offering music. And this morning, our offering music is Felix Mendelssohn's Song Without Words. So Elise, I'm going to give you a chance to adjust the camera, take it away from me, and put it on Whit. And you'll give me a thumbs up when it's perfect. Whitaker, if you will. This fellowship has been really lucky with piano players. It's one hit after another. Thank you, Whitaker. Today's talk. So our question for the morning is, who is that masked stranger? That is Adela Duncan at work as president and a co-founder of Paz Amigos. For our guests, that's an organization that helps immigrants who are recently released from the Stewart Detention Center near Lumpkin, Georgia. And when I say recently released, I mean within seconds of their release. They meet a volunteer from Paz Amigos, and what Paz Amigos does is it helps them contact their families, arrange for travel, make travel plans, figure out how to get to the Atlanta airport, figure out how to take a 27-hour bus ride to Nevada, whatever they need to do. Paz Amigos will figure it out. Adela was raised in Mendota, California, which is a very small agricultural town. It's near Fresno, but of course she was raised among undocumented workers and has been around their families all her life. And I assume when I hear Adela speak Spanish, which is not my tourist Spanish, that she's a native speaker. But if she's not, she's pretty darn close. She joined the Army, spent 8 years in the Army, met her husband Vincent, who's here today too, welcome. And after 8 years, she was kind of following Vincent around, and she earned a bachelor's degree from St. Leo University and a master's in business administration from, and you know, it's nice to do these because you have good friends and you learn something fun about them, master's degree from George Washington University, where I went to college. So two of us here. Go, it's been a long time, Colonials, okay? When I was there, they dropped the football team, so it's not my fault. So they said, now Vincent, you're retired, is that correct, from the military? And so they settled in Harris County, and Adela has went to work for the Defense Department as a chief director of communications and outreach. In 2019, actually a little more than 2 years ago, 2 years and a few months, Adela and Susan Krysek and Rita Ellis and Laura Pinar and Ellen and I and maybe a couple other people founded this group Paz Amigos because we heard what was happening, which is just when they release people from detention, they don't care if you have $10 to your name and a t-shirt and it's February and it's 10 o'clock at night, they just drive you to Columbus and drop you. And that has changed since Paz Amigos was founded, and that's what Adela Duncan is going to talk about this morning. So please help me in welcoming Adela Duncan.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Bill. First, thank you so much for having us here today, well, having Paz Amigos here and myself representing it. I want to first sincerely thank you for your past donations. I wanted to give a brief summary, but Bill kind of summarized it as far as our organization, who isn't unaware of it. But I'll give you some new updates, how it's evolved, what is needed, and again, to thank you again for all your support the past 2.5 years. In 2014, as Bill mentioned, Susan Krysek started assisting men from the Stewart Detention Center in Lumpkin. Well, I'll call it SDC for short. It's a privately owned immigration center. When the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Center, which is known as ICE, releases the people being detained, or I like to say imprisoned, Stewart must release them ASAP. They cannot be on their premises. So what were doing, as Bill mentioned, they were being dropped off at the old bus station, because now it's off of St. Mary's Road, but a couple of years ago it was off of Veterans Parkway. And most of the time they were dropping them off after 4 p.m. The bus station closes at 4 p.m. Susan was finding out that they were piling up together just to keep warm. and staying, throughout the whole night freezing. So she stepped in and started helping. I think the first gentleman she helped was a Guatemalan and then a Honduran man. When they were being left there, they had no access to a phone, any money, to food. And this is, this doing that just is set up for, I hate to say it, but set up for crime in Columbus when you're leaving people like this to try to survive. And unfortunately, they also didn't speak the English language to ask for assistance. So Susan then started asking for help because they started releasing them tremendous, it used to be 1 or 2, then they started releasing them by 5, 10. So Susan asked for help. Rita Ellis gathered about 10 of us, and that was the birth of Paz Amigos. So on February 4th, 2019, Paz Amigos was established. We're 100% volunteer based. And at the beginning, we only knew to meet them at the Greyhound station. As time has evolved, we've had meetings with the wardens. I met the warden maybe 3 times now the past 2.5 years, and 3 wardens have changed during the past 2.5 years as well. We've convinced them to help us to drop the men off at the groom station. So the groom station before the pandemic was a 24-hour facility. Now it's closed at 9 and reopens at 6, but that's a big difference because now they have warmth and we're a place to be able to meet. So when they arrive, we give them a meal, we give them a backpack with toiletries, we give them access to communicate with their family, friends, or a sponsor who they're trying to reach to their destination. We help and arrange and pay for travel arrangements to include groom, flight, bus transportation, and sometimes overnight stay. In 2019, we helped 562 amigos. During the pandemic in 2020, we helped 363. The group that we had about 16 at the beginning of the pandemic dropped to only 2, myself and Monica. Thank goodness at the end of 2020, maybe November, December, 1 joined us, and gradually everyone else has been coming to help us again. 2021, to date, we have helped 553 amigos. So now we're averaging about 20 to 30 people per week this year. At that rate, we are tracking to assist almost 1,500 people who will be released from Stewart Detention Center. That's triple from 2019. So what has changed as well? It used to be men only at the Stewart Detention Center. Now they are bringing women. At one time, there was a rumor that they were going to close the detention center and make it a state prison. So I guess there was a demand. I spoke with the Stewart Detention Center, and now I made an agreement to bring women. So now women are being released. So since April, we started getting our first women, and we've helped about 108 women now. With that change, our needs are different. So first, again, I want to thank you for the donations given the past 2.5 years. And we like to be as transparent as possible with the donations and how we spend our money. So just to let you know, every meal that we give our amigos, it's a Burger King chicken meal pack. So it's $9 per meal. The backpacks consist of toiletries, sheets, shirts, underclothes, shoelaces, because they take their shoelaces away from them. And now with women being discharged, we need to have more women hygiene items added to our shopping list. Hotel rooms, as I mentioned earlier, we sometimes provide overnight stays. So we have made an arrangement with Best Western off of Veterans Parkway, and have a consistent rate of $69 per night. And I want you to know that we do not give an amigo a room by themselves. We put 4 people in there, which, trust me, they're excited. They jump on the bed and start making snow angels when they get on that bed. But we're trying to make sure we, have our money extend as possible. So that's about a $17 average per lady in room or per man. We occasionally do have to pay for groom tickets, flights, or bus tickets in extreme circumstances. We would like to add a travel printer so Bill doesn't have to run back home in the middle of the night and print tickets to our shopping list this year. So before I conclude, I wanted to show a couple of videos that Bill and I put together. This is them arriving. They're released and they're free, but they're still locked up, if you notice, with 3 padlocks.
Yes.
And we got 8 more, right? Coming?
Yeah, 8 more.
I've asked them why the locks, and they say because of security. And I've asked, well, what if you're in an accident? They're going to be trapped. But they have no answer.
Hola. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos. Lipitar, lipitar. ¿Cómo están? Hola. Bienvenidos. Lipitar, lipitar. Hola.
The majority of those girls were from Venezuela and 1 from Brazil.
Stewart Detention Center dropping off these young ladies at 11:45. Groom is closed.
And if you
Greyhound is
just
closed.
notice what I said, it was 11:45 when they finally arrived. When you see these ladies step out, you'll see how dangerous they are, that they needed that security.
Señor, gracias, Padre amado.
Hola.
Hola.
Do they have any of them have positive COVID?
Not that we know about.
Because they said that's what they were waiting for medical. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo están? No, no.
These ladies were so sweet. Even after being treated this way, they went back and prayed for the officers and told them that they were going to ask God to bless them. So these are just a few snapshots as far as so you can kind of see what we do. Here's Monica. She gets here. She pulls out her laptop and starts trying to find ticket arrangements. A lot of the people that are assisting them do not know how to purchase tickets, so usually we get a credit card information on the phone to make it quicker. Those are the young ladies I helped the last video. They were ready to get to bed. They were so excited. Here's Laura, and we helped. Her name is Mari Angel. I shocked my husband because he was getting ready to take me to the airport the next morning at 4 o'clock, and I showed up in the middle of the night with Mari Angel and said, "Hey, can you take both of us now? She needs a ride." Just, talking to the men there. Sometimes it's late nights. So here's Dan and Sarah. He has taken on the role of being our bag man. He brings our backpacks, and now the food man. So they lay out the food ready for them to have a meal. And that's it right there. Okay. Is it the last video, Bill, do we have?
It's at the end. It's at the very end.
We had 2 vans this time. There's Dan giving it back. A lot of them quickly will run to the restroom just to change.
Mira,
So
tiene
they can get
camisas,
fresh clothes.
sacatines, tiene esas cosas también, sí, calzones, todo, lápiz, eso, todo. Ok, so, y ahorita aquí está la comida, tenemos comida. Yeah, no, now you got food.
You see that blonde girl in the middle? She's an engineer. And she said when she was detained in Texas.
Burger King.
Yeah, you want to hear how excited they got about Burger King.
Okay, hay uno de pollo, hamburguesa de pollo y papa frita.
Wow, qué divino. Ah, que adentro tiene cosas.
No te dejan comer you can't eat inside there, so just right here, sit down and eat real quick here. Okay.
Gracias, que te lo bendiga.
That steward. So I want to end with a quote really quick from Cornell Wells. Never forget that justice is what love looks like in public. And again, thank you so much for all the generosity and donation support the past 2.5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Adela, and she has agreed to stay after, and there's lots more to say. We could talk for hours about this. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. Now, would everyone please rise in body or spirit for our closing words? With unity of spirit, we go our ways in universal fellowship until we meet again. And if you'll be seated one more time, Whitaker will play the final hymn, and then we'll have a Q&A session. He's going to play hymn 147, When All the Peoples on This Earth Know Deep Inside Their Precious Worth. Whitaker.